guys really ready? Are you truly ready? Well, without further ado, let me introduce you to a man whose middle name is Francis. His name is Dion Francis DiMucci, ladies and gentlemen, if you would. Young Francis, his middle Christian name.
Yo! Yo, everybody. These guys look better than us.
Well, I'm not going to talk about age. We're not going to talk about age. Hey, you know, they don't remember this, but you sang with a group before Dion of the Belmonts with the Timberlanes.
Oh, my God. What are these? You're going to start with that?
And then they became known as Dion and the Belmonts.
Well, when I first went down to Laurie Records, I was a kid. I was like just about 17, and they had this track. I don't know. It was finished already, and they wanted me to sing on it. I said, I can't sing on this. And they had a group there, like 3 guys. I think they were from Oklahoma, because the bass singer's name was Percy. Hey, they were good, but it was like Oklahoma. You know, it was like, do-de-ho-do, wake up, the sun is shining. You know, it's like, I said, let's go back to my neighborhood. Let me get some guys that, you know. So I recruited 3 of the guys from my neighborhood.
Carlo, Angelo, Freddie.
Yeah, Carl, yeah.
But
they were great,
because,
man.
you know, when you did I Wonder Why, you gave all the guys the parts. Tenor part, bass part.
It was amazing. I was like 17. I'm in my parents' apartment. You know, we had 3 rooms. Get the guys up there. Carlo starts singing. And then no. And then Freddie's singing, ooh, wow, wow, ooh. And I'm singing, I wonder why. And Angelo's going, woo. Like,
It wasn't planned.
4 guys singing 4 different things. I felt like I was, it never happened to me in my entire life. It was the first time I felt like I was in heaven. It was a defining, magical moment for me. I was like singing, and Angelo's singing this, woo, and Freddie's singing this other thing, and Carlos, da-da-da-da-da. I don't know where he was. He's like, Puedo. I don't know if he was, I don't know. But it was magical. You know, I just never forgot it. I still reel when I think of it.
You know, Laurie Records, this man really put them in business. The guys that owned it was Gene and Bob Schwartz and a guy from Philly, Alan Sussel.
Yeah.
Your buddy who used to play golf all the time.
Yeah.
And this group, Dion and the Belmonts, were the first major group to put Laurie independent record label on the map at that time. And then came Teenager in Love and the album In the Still of the Night, the standards. You really weren't into that stuff, were you, though?
No, they were, you know, listen, I never wanted to get into show business. You know, the idea of, I really didn't. I wasn't a show, I was in a gang, you know, I was like, oh, who do you think you are? Where you talking to me? I wasn't into like, hey, everybody, are you having a good time? Everybody say yes. You know, that wasn't me.
You didn't want to be a geeter.
No. I was into, I got it. I'll tell you something. This is the heart of it. When I was like 11 years old, I heard Hank Williams on the radio, and then I heard Jimmy Reed, and they affected me. I can't tell you. It's something that happened. You know, you get thrown on a road when you're a kid. You know, kids like to skate or bike ride or swim or climb out, whatever they do. You know, whatever one wants to become a doctor or a firefighter or I was into a song. there was a song I heard that took me on a trip. I heard Hank Williams do the Pictures from Life's Other Side. I heard him do Honky Tonk Blues, and it just enthralled me. And I found out something out when I was very young, that within a 3-minute song, you can resolve conflict and make the whole world make sense. I'll give you an idea. Like, I wrote a song, first song I did the other night, it goes, here I am, girl, standing in the rain, going round inside a hurricane. Baby, I want to ride with you. Sometimes there's no way out of here. I looked everywhere. I want to ride with you. And it says, yeah, don't you know how a good man feels? My mind feels like it ain't got no driving wheel, baby. I want to ride with you. And then you just, all this confusion, and then you go, everybody's got to make a change sometime. My heart has turned towards the sunshine. Baby, I want to ride with you. And you go, boy, I'm glad
The storyline.
You know, it's like, it makes sense because when I was a kid, my parents they were like emotional 13-year-olds. You know, I loved them. They had great qualities, both my mother and my father. Tremendous, wonderful qualities. My father, working wasn't one of them. And my mother was a hard worker. So the arguments, people grow old, but some of them don't grow up. Like if you unzip them and look inside, they're like 13-year-olds. They're like, buy me an ice cream. Am I making sense here?
Yeah, you are.
Listen, before we go any further, I got to tell you something. I don't know if you know this guy's story. I'm up in the cabana with him the other day. He has, I know Jerry a long time, and my wife, on the last cruise, got his book. And for 3 months, I had her here at dinner. You know what Jerry did? Do you know how Jerry did that? When Jerry did this, Jerry would do that, and he often did it this way, and a whole 3 months, it was like Jerry.
Well, you got Susie.
She loved your book. But he has a very inspirational story. This guy, if you want inspiration, you got to hear his story. He's doing all the questioning, but he's got one of the most interesting lives on the ship here. We all do. We all could write a book, right? Yeah,
Absolutely. But they know you as the performer, but I know you as the human being and the person and the real spiritual side, which has been a part of your life, which has taken you to where you are today.
Yeah, like I said, people get involved in certain things when they're a kid. I loved music. I loved Jimmy Reed and Hank Williams, and I loved what a song could do. It changed me when I found something, it got me on the road. And God, I was like a kid who was into God. I would go into church, and I would walk up to the altar, and I'd go, where are you? It's like, who's he married to? What does he have for lunch? I didn't know any, I just was looking for, and then when I went out on that tour with Buddy Holly, and the rug got ripped out from underneath me, you start asking all those questions about what life is about.
At an early
Who am
age.
I? Why am I here? What's it all about? What's the deal? Why is there something rather than nothing? I mean, I had these, I'm not an intellectual, but I like to, I don't know, these questions jump up in your head and you want to know, what's the answer?
We have to take a little break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about that tour, okay, which changed you. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Dion DiMucci. Yay! Dion Francis DiMucci. We were talking about February the 3rd, 1959. You were on the tour, Big Bopper, Richie Valens, and of course Buddy Holly. And in those days, you people didn't know it, but when rock and roll really was at its infancy, there would be promoters like Irving Feld who would take all of the guys on a bus tour. You'd hit town, town, town. You were on that tour. Even though Paul Anka says, okay, which you know is not so, okay? Even Paul says that he was invited to go on that flight. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the man. I think it was $36 that they won it, right?
Paul Anka wasn't on that tour.
That's what I said. He was not on that. This man, what was it, $36? And you said, I don't have the money?
Well, my parents were arguing about $36 all my life. That was the rent. So when Buddy said, you know, we're gonna split the flight, you know, he was trying to recruit people to make he was like a businessman, like a CEO of a company.
Right.
And he got, you know, Richie, the Big Bopper, and myself were like the headliners. We were making the monies. So he was trying to recruit three of us, or, you know, one of us couldn't get on.
Cost, yeah.
So when he said, you know, your share is $36, I won the coin toss, but I said, $36, that's
It's $100.
So, you know, later on in my life, when I used to have lunch with my mother as she got older, and this is recently, she would say, I'm so sorry we argued, and your father and I know we are. Mom, I said, believe me, I wouldn't have seen my daughters grow up. I wouldn't have had them. You know, I'm so
Three
grateful.
daughters.
I'm so grateful to be here.
Yeah.
You know, I said, it wasn't a problem, Mom. Argue on.
Yeah. That affected you at an early age, though, I mean, because that's the first time. It affected the whole world, as a matter of fact, because our world was rock and roll, and for three of our heroes, and God forbid you, it would have been completely, he would not be sitting here today. And Buddy, and then...
they were great guys, man. They were
I worked
really,
with Danny the Juniors, our tours. We did it all together with those guys. But, you know, do you remember after they passed, then that's when Frankie and Jimmy Clanton took their place, if you remember.
Yeah.
And one other, Jimmy, Frankie. Exactly, right. Well, then it was the three. It was Avalon, Clanton, and what was it, Fabian? It might have been Fabian that they put.
No, there was a kid who came up to sing with, take like Buddy Holly's place. I forget his name.
Was he Frankie
Scott.
Cardo?
No. Frankie. No, there was a kid from Texas. He came up. I think his name was Tommy Scott. I'm not sure.
Okay.
He was really great, but he was like a Presley imitator.
Right.
But he was great. He was really good, this kid. Yeah.
That had to affect the whole tour, though. Right, with that death.
I remember, I'll be honest with you, like before the tour, my memory is I have a great memory. I don't know why. I just, thank God I do. But after the tour, I don't know. I must have been numb because I don't remember. We had 2 weeks after that tour we went on. And I was on the bus talking to everybody. I sat with Waylon Jennings. He was like 21 at the time. He wasn't Waylon Jennings at the time. He was just a kid from Lubbock, Texas, who was trying to play bass. And but I liked him a lot. And we would hang and talk, and but I don't really remember like a lot of it. I remember one thing about it. We got like cards from everybody, from Bobby Darin, from Dick Clark, from Phil Spector. We got
it's interesting because when you did Abraham, Martin, and John, which was in 1968, okay, and that was on Laurie, right? Laurie Records.
Yeah.
But you had been away from Laurie. You were with Columbia. You went with Columbia, I think, in 1963. All right?
Right.
And at that time, Mitch Miller hated rock and roll.
Yeah.
All right? How did that happen?
They got rid of him. They did.
It's the truth?
Yeah, well, it was I was the first rock and roll artist signed to Columbia Records,
right.
But I was just in the pocket. I was, like Ruby Baby, Donna the Prima Donna, The Wanderer,
Drip,
Run
Drop.
Around Sue, Drip. Yeah. So they were like, I'll see you later, Mitch. We're going to go with the
We're
kid.
going with rock. You created that, yeah.
So we, and I tell you, a lot of people don't get credit behind the scenes. You know, like we're making records and we're out here like, yeah, the kid. Yo, I'm here. But you got guys, all the Apollo Theater musicians are in the studio. Buddy Lucas, Big Buddy Lucas, on. You could hear him play on The Wanderer. It's like an iconic sax solo, you know, and Styx Evans and Panama Francis and Tito Wilshire on piano and all these great musicians that really, really, the guys from they encouraged us.
Well, they felt it, man.
No, but I'm telling you, a lot of people were angry at us. Yeah, but the guys from the Apollo or the...
Well, Buddy Johnson, you remember Buddy Johnson? He was the orchestra leader, man, and this cat, bop, bop,
man.
bop. And a lot of those cats were also Basie's guys, you know. They would play with Basie in Birdland.
And none of them read music. They did not read music. It was all feel, and they heard the arrangement in their head before you could do it. They knew what was coming. And they were just great. And to get a great musician to play something simple, you know, it's like, even till this day, every drummer I run into, you know, they could be in any modern group like Aerosmith or, you know, Bon Jovi or whoever's out there, even the kid, they say, who was playing drum? What was he doing on the Wanderer? The guy was just having fun. He was hitting the cymbal, you know, the hi-hat from underneath. But they were just great musicians. They all feel.
The songs that you wrote, they were really something that you created about you.
Well, I wrote about characters in the neighborhood, you know, in my neighborhood. They were like bigger than life, you know, like Run Around Sue. I don't want to, you know.
How about a lonely teenager?
I had to change the name to protect the
innocent.
You know, it's funny. I was doing a radio show one time, and this girl calls in. I'm not going to mention her name. I wrote Run Around Sue, and she says, "Yeah, I'm married to." She was married to a pastor. She had like 5 kids. She was happy like that, you know, and she turned out great. She was like. Just a really uplifting phone call and like, I mean, as I was talking on the radio, I got, you know, I was like blushing, you know, it was like,
But I really want to talk about Abraham, Martin, and John. I think that was such an inspirational song at the time, what was happening in America at that time.
Yeah, the country was, it's like crazy today too, but back then the country was in a lot of unrest. And I always thought the song was, it wasn't political. And if you wanted to make it political, actually it was about 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans. But because, I mean, Martin Luther King's family came out and said he was a Republican. I don't know. You know, I don't know what's in anybody's heart. But I'm not like a very political guy because I'm like, I mean, I have my opinions, but I'm like, God is so above all that stuff. So I really think our hearts should all be transformed into love. That's what the whole deal is about in giving.
Absolutely.
And, you know, and you can't go wrong when you're thinking like, I mean, you can't go wrong when you're thinking like that. It's all good because you're giving, you know?
I want to talk about that gift and how the transformation came into your life from the situation.
Let me just say something about Abraham, Martin, and John, how the record came about. Well, you know, after Bobby Kennedy was shot, it was just like, it just came over me like, I mean, in 20 minutes that record was put together out of frustration. But it was about, I wanted to put a song together that was actually what I think the song is about. It's about a state of love that does exist, and it's for us to make it real. You have to grab onto it. You have to open your heart to it and kind of deal with it. Because listen, I'm from New York. I'm a cynical, critical, argumentative guy. And if God could break through that, he could break through anything.
We're going to talk about how he got broken through when we come on back. Dion Davucci, we'll be right back.
I got a good job. Who has a job like this? I mean, you go into the mechanic shop, you tune somebody's car, you do it perfectly. There's nobody giving you applause. Am I right? And you guys know, you guys work, right? No, this is a good job.
Good job.
This is
Let me ask you this question. Bobby and I spoke about the period in his life when he turned to alcoholism because he wasn't happy with, after Camille passed away. There was a period in your life where you went to the other side, the demon side. What saved you?
Well, you know, I tell you, I started out early on drugs in my neighborhood. Just that was
a part of the neighborhood.
Yeah, and but it was a part of my emotion. I don't know why. Look at the epidemic that's happening today. 91 kids, people a day are dying from this stuff. I mean, this is, and they won't tell you the solution on TV.
What was your solution, though? How did you find
it? Was God. It's very simple. You know, I reached out. I said, God, you know, there's a Bible verse that says, ask and you will receive. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open. I got a feeling like a lot of us are going to end up standing in front of the Lord and you're going to, how come this and why didn't you ask? I mean, it's asking, actually asking is a prayer. That's my definition of it. So, I mean, I was hurting so bad. I was taking a lot. I was a heroin addict for 14 years, from the age of 14 to 28. So in February
Did your
of
parents know?
In February of 1968,
Right.
Frankie Lyman, who I would hang out with, we would take drugs together,
died
of an overdose, and it just broke my heart and scared me. I was like, and I was losing a lot of friends, but you can't scare an addict. I don't know.
Were there people around you that knew what was happening with you?
Yeah, listen, we all have that voice in our head, that guardian angel who's going, hey,
Stop.
dumb stop that. What are you doing to yourself? What are you? It's insanity. You know, it's an insane thing. But one night, I'll be honest with you, I got on my knees. I said, God, I need help. And I haven't had a drug or a drink in 50 years.
Yo, that's a yo.
Yeah,
that's a yo.
So I know how real that is. And you know, and all those simple, I know it sounds simple, you know, the family that prays together, stays together. My 3 daughters are teachers, and they love me. They love being around me. They love putting their head on my shoulder, and I give them a, you know, and there's no, and it's all because there's the presence of God in our house, which is harmony. I came into a 12-step program, and that's how I found it. I was like, it's like I took these 12 steps. Like they said, take these 12 steps. I went 1, 2, 3, and I got to the 12th step, and I was under the spout where the glory came out. So
the 12 apostles. The 12 apostles.
And, you know, and it's, I didn't have to get divorced. I learned what love was. I was talking to a guy one time, and he's, this is amazing. This is amazing, okay? Do I have a minute? One minute. Okay. Now, who the hell talks about, could you define love or serenity, you know, on the corners of the Bronx? Nobody talks about these things. So I run into a guy, and I'm talking to him, and a fellow runs up to him and says, I'm getting divorced. I don't love her anymore. He's about 28 years old, this guy. So my friend looks at him and says, well, then love her. He said, no, you don't understand. I'm getting divorced. I don't love her anymore. He said, well, then love her. He said, what are you, deaf? Can't you hear what I'm saying? I don't love her anymore. He said, love isn't just a feeling. Love is an action. It's an act of your will. It's a choice. You choose to love somebody, even at their worst, when you're not fit. And he went into this, and I thought, what? You know, and I think that helped me come through some bad times, you know, when, those times when your wife really needs attention and an ear to talk, you know, when things aren't going well. It's not like what I'm getting or how I'm feeling or, you know, well, I'm not getting what I want. I don't love her. And, you know, it's not about me. It's about you guys.
Well,
It's
that's
about,
the secret of what you do with the public over here. That gives you give them love, and they give love feeds back.
By
to
the
you
way,
on
I'm
map.
taking a collection after this.
Let me listen. The songs that you've written, you still get royalties for that, right? Or did you give it up? Like a lot of the stars that wrote songs, they didn't get they just wrote it away.
Yeah, you know, my wife grabbed the whole. She's a bright girl. You know, my wife is a wordsmith, and like when I first met her at Annette Funicello's birthday party, I said to her, you know, that guy he's a real jerk. And she said, well, I think his perception of reality is colored and skewed by his limitations. I said, that's what I said. He's a real jerk. So she's from Vermont. She's not a stupid lady, so she took over the publishing company.
Right.
And in short, publishing is like a retirement plan. It's mailbox money.
Yeah.
So I thank Sue for that.
By the way, I got to tell you, you don't even know this. You recorded a Skeeter Davis song.
I did, yeah.
What, at the end?
That's the end of the world.
You have to hear it, and it was on Columbia. You have more of a country feel. And do you agree, ladies and gentlemen? This cat could have been beside rock. You could have been a big country star because you got that feel.
I think of myself. Yeah, well, that's my roots. Blues and country music is kind of like in my DNA. But I'll tell you, I was like 14 years old. No, even less. This kid came down from the pool room. His name was Sammy Savage. He was part of the Fordham Baldies. You know, he was a bad guy. You know, we were like, there's some guys in my neighborhood, tough guys. You know, and I wasn't like tough. Like they'd go into the Golden Gloves and win. You know, they were really tough guys. So, but he heard that I played a guitar, and he says, you know, I heard this song. Well, let's stand in the corner with the bow straight. I looked out the window and over the gate. The big jackrabbit gonna jumping in the grass, waiting till you hear that old shotgun boogie. I said, you gotta come up my house and record this with me. I'll play the guitar on it. So I went boogie-woogieing on the thing. And ever since that day, I really consider myself a rhythm singer. I heard that. It changed my life. He wasn't even a good singer, but it was just the feel of the
picked it up, the feel.
Thing at 12. It was like you didn't hear anything like that in your neighborhood. And I had a guy. He was a black guy. He played guitar. His name was Willie Green in my neighborhood. He was like, you know, he used to sit on the stoops with the guitar.
Yeah.
But he was awesome. He flew under the radar. Nobody knows who he is.
Did you like Little Jimmy Scott?
You know, all those guys. Yeah.
You know, I loved Hank Ballard. Hank Ballard, man. I mean, the cat. But the black cats. See, that's where it was. It was rhythm and blues, man, for us kids. We weren't into that pop. Like Perry Como did Kokomo. Gene and Eunice had the real deal. I mean, Pat Boone, nice guy that ain't it a shame. Fats Domino had the real deal. And you had that deal at an early age.
Yeah, I'm like a diehard rock and roll fan. I heard Bobby talking about jazz. He was into big bands and everything. Yeah. Nah, I was into like, I found my thrill
on the Dewberry Hill.
I didn't want to hear I mean, that's cool, but I was like,
yeah,
you know, here's me and I'm in
love again. I had no loving since you know when. Eeny, meeny, and you know I do. What is next for you? I know they're talking about a big documentary, ladies and gentlemen, on this man's life. Because what you're hearing is just a little bit of this man's life, his soul. You know him as the performer. I know him as a human being and as a friend. And I think if they do this documentary right, You will be an inspiration for young people who want to get into the business and an inspiration for people who have had a problem with addiction.
Well, I love sharing with men these days. I love like sitting down with guys and talking about, just sharing about how I got out of that, how it's almost like, I could say it this way. I used to live in the same world as everybody else. Now I don't. I live in the real world.
Yep.
I don't know how you interpret that, but I think when you step into the world where God is and he has a presence in your life and he's present in your life and you allow him, like you decrease and he increases, and you get rid of all those things that are in the way, because look, here's my thing. I'm telling you, when I was a kid, I got into this. I started reading books by Thomas Aquinas, and he said, when you don't have God in your life, you got to fill up with something. So you fill up on wealth, pleasure, power, or honor. Honor, you got to be right, and you got to win, you got to be better, and well, who I never do, and you, and all that stuff, right? Right? And you got to have this, and you got to have that, and that's what you try to fill up on and make yourself happy with, but it doesn't happen. I tried it, so I know it really doesn't happen. But once God's in your life, he shapes your desire for those things. Not that those things are bad. They're not bad. You just need his direction on when to,
Ladies and gentlemen,
move in that area.
Now you know the real Dion DiMucci, the performer, the human being, the guy with a lot of love. Let us hear it for this incredible, talented man.
I love you guys. I really do. And I thank you for being here. You make it all happen.